Ladies and gentlemen, everyone tuning in from around the world, it is I, Matthew the Body Kemmetmuller, reporting to you from the center of the volume photography universe, Minneapolis, Minnesota. I want to thank you guys for tuning in for another Tech Tuesday with me. I'm excited to, it's kind of a series we've been working on where I like to share with you guys some of the technological tips, the things that we're doing, the software we're using, the gear that we photograph with, the things that we are using to speed up our turn times while not decreasing our quality. And today we're going to talk about aftershoot. Also, we just got wrapped up photographing our 26th graduation of the season this year, which is a big uptick in graduations for us. And we added another little fun piece I want to share with you guys, but it's not long enough to warrant a whole Tech Tuesday day. So tune in to the end to check the little graduation tool that we have. So I'm excited to talk to you guys about Aftershoot. Aftershoot is a piece of software that we've been using for a couple of years now. Now, I'm not officially sponsored by Aftershoot. I don't speak for the company. I recommend that you guys find whatever works for you. We have been with Aftershoot. It has met our needs for years. There's another company, Imagen. They were at SPAC. Christy is a wonderful person, has great information, very similar product. And I know there's a couple other ones that are kind of out there. But specifically in the world of culling, we always found that like once we went and did the job, coming back to actually get through all the images and figure out which ones were good enough for our clients, which ones met our needs, sorting out our poster images, the ones that were going on banners, QR codes, all that stuff was really kind of a daunting task. And some of the jobs that we go out and we photograph, we'll have 8 to 10 cameras at, and 8 to 10 cameras photographing 10,000 kids for soccer is a lot to process. So this software hasn't eliminated our need for culling, but it has sped up our culling by at least 30 to 40%. And it is a kind of a linchpin of our workflow. So I want to share with you guys some of the great things and kind of introduce it to you because you just might not even know that it exists. So Aftershoot is a standalone software. One of the things we always struggle with when we do these is just making sure that we have kind of consent to share client images with you guys. And I don't really have any images that I would feel comfortable with kids doing on this for the podcast, but I do have a graduation ceremony or a retirement ceremony that we just did. So Aftershoot, it's its own software. It's great. Go in, figure out what works for you. We have pushed through. We've helped you get back 535 days and 19 hours. We've culled 3,058,000 images. So we've pushed a lot of work through this. First thing you're going to do with Aftershoot is just pull in your images. And it pulls it up just like this. Easy, simple way to go through and see all your images. Even gives you those test shots of Carissa, which I'm sure she's glad I left in here for you guys to see. And you can flip through in a gallery, and it'll kind of show you all the images. It's easy. All we're going to do is click Start Culling. Now, in this section, you're going to be able to see that the images, you're able to set kind of your own guidelines. I want a pretty strict guideline on blurry photos. It sucks, and you got some photographers who understand shutter speed better than others, and some people like me, I'm a little bit shaky. That's not true. Mine are always tack sharp, but it lets you kind of filter through and pick the images. Mine aren't blurry. My images are just always like leaning. I don't know if you guys ever have that problem. There's always like a tilt. But let's just go through things like duplicates and groups. I'm actually okay with having a couple of different options. But something like this, when we go out and we do candids, we call it media coverage for our schools. Our goal is to kind of deliver 75 to maybe 150 images, depending on the length and the size of the event. I've actually had it before where we've just gone through and processed all of the images and just given them 500 images. And it's a really easy thing for a school to kind of hit decision fatigue on it. So we pull them down to the best ones and we just color correct and make sure they have a good exposure. So go in, hit Start Culling, and it's going to start racing through these images, calculating which images, maybe there's eyes closed, maybe the shutter speed was a little bit off, and we're being very, very, very specific on how we want those filtered out. And I'm just going to pause the video. Well, actually, no, let's keep talking about this while we go through it. You can see it's doing a collection of both stars and colors. And to be honest with you, it doesn't really matter what your studio uses to track the images. Like, what are the ones you can go into the filters and you can make it so a blue filter is blurry, or 1 star is a blurry photo and 2 stars are closed eyes. You can go in and kind of filter, make custom filters upon all of these for whatever works for you. The biggest advice I can give you, though, and the thing that I think every person in studio really needs to make sure that they do, is have one consistent way of doing it. And so that's a really important kind of thing that we realized was, like, when we first started, I wanted to filter them by colors. Other key members wanted to filter them by stars. And we kind of have this hybrid system that works for us now. The biggest thing is to make sure that everyone in your business understands whichever direction you're going with, and they can all, so that if I'm in the middle of working on a job and I need to hand over to an associate, Ben, Ben should be able to know what the heck a 5-star image is, what a green is, what a yellow is, what a red is. And so it's an important part of it. Now, Aftershoot is, let me go ahead and turn this off for a second. Aftershoot is an incredible tool. It speeds up our workflow dramatically. It's not perfect. And no software, especially like in the AI world, in the infancy that it's at, is. So we still do a manual cull after this. It just speeds up how much time we spend culling, and it kind of helps us eliminate all of the BS. Most of you guys know, one thing that's kind of signature and different about our business compared to a lot of other photography studios is that we always do multi-pose with our portraits. And so this really helps us make sure that we have, the 3 poses per kid, whether it's in sports or in schools, and helps us kind of monitor that. All right, so these images right now, I told you guys we wanted to get down to 75 images, and it looks like it picked 75 images for us. Some of the other things that it's done is it's told us, that these are closed eyes. It says there's a lot of blurry ones, so that's probably something worth checking out. But it's a pretty good sort. The thing that I like to do, though, is I don't like to it defaulted to exporting just these 75. I don't want to do that because I still want to have a set of eyes on this just to review it after the fact. So I'm going to export all 249 images that we took to a brand new Lightroom gallery. Export, Lightroom Classic is open. Here we go. And we want to check all of them. And we are going to import these images into our gallery. There's those wonderful portraits of Carissa again. And it's gotten us through all of the images that we had. Now, if you saw before, it did show us that the red ones, I thought it was red. Where did it go? It'll tell us the ones that we had that were too blurry, that weren't kind of meeting the guidelines. But this did get us down to, that's why we pulled in. There it is. Wrong folder. Sorry, guys. So here are the images. The red ones are saying eyes closed. And as we go on and look at these images, you're going to see it's a little bit blurry. It's a little bit soft image. And her eyes are definitely closed. So that might not be our best option. But if I go to this 5-star, I'm going to see right away that here's a couple of Carissa. We don't need that one. We don't need that one. I just changed the star ratings on these right away. So now in this situation, I would simply go through all of these images and just make sure that there's nothing that we're missing. She's another photographer. Shout out Peglo. And then it goes through and kind of sets up all of our images, which is amazing. Like this for candids for me now all I have to do is make sure that our exposure and color correction is right. Like that one, I don't think she's going to love that photo. We're just going to get rid of it. So we're going to go through and cut out these images. Okay, some of the other things that you can do with this software that I do actually recommend every once in a while is I'll go in and check some of these just to make sure that, in fact, like this one, like, okay, do we have another one of the cake? Doesn't look like we do. Oh, it's not a cake. It's a 3-ring binder. But it shows how much I can see. But maybe that's something we do want to bring in. So we're just going to bring that up to a 5-star. Take off that red filter. Boom. So some of the ways that we go through, though, check all of our images, make sure we got what we need. Go back to this. We want our 5 stars. And that allows us a huge uptake on not having to go through each image one at a time to verify the use of, or to verify if they're good enough for this. It cut out what would have been, half an hour of sitting there dinking around through each photo and cut it down to a couple of minutes for us. So huge time saver with this. And then, all right, now I need to go to, should I bring in one of?
It's not paused.
Oh, it isn't? It's still recording?
Mm-hmm.
Ah! All right, sorry guys. I was just trying to figure out if there was a sports shoot that we could do, and I thought I clicked pause, but I guess I'm just going to look stupid on this. That's fine. One of the things I just really am struggling with finding a session that we would have like appropriate releases to be able to walk you guys through this. One of the big things though that we do use this for on our sports work is we kind of have, and I don't know how everyone shoots in their market, how they photograph sports, but our push, we're a weird business because we are almost 50-50 split between what we do in schools and what we do in sports. And for the size that we are, I think that's pretty unique. So one of the things that we found is that for like almost all of our sports for youth, little league stuff, we push hard on doing indoor shoots, not composite teamwork. We don't want to do virtual teams. But we do like to photograph inside just because we have some soccer shoots that are, over 100 teams, 130 teams, and rescheduling 130 teams because of rain is a real pain in the ass. So one of the things we found with this for our indoor sports work as well as our school work is there's actually a feature in Aftershoot that allows you to edit your images as well. And the image editing is a huge time saver for us. And so to go in and edit your images, the biggest issue that I think most people have with this is having a back catalog of enough images to be able to train the AI. But up in Minnesota, like we got a lot of very blonde, pale Norwegian, fair-skinned individuals. And then you have anybody who's a person of color coming up, the lighting just hits them differently. And so one of the things that the Aftershoot editing software allows us to do is it actually goes in and will level out the exposure and make sure that we have more accurate representation of all skin tones with doing a hell of a lot less work. So we are still also one of the unique studios that we actually photograph in RAW still. So Birdie can just shut up about that because I know he's going to talk about it. But I feel like we get better images, and it's a free insurance policy for me. And I'm having a hard time letting go of it. It's like my binky. So we still photograph in RAW, and the combination of Aftershoot and for culling and for editing and some of the other plugins and tools that we use have really kind of made it much more palatable for us to be able to photograph in RAW and chew through all of these images that we produce. All right. Yep. When you're working with Aftershoot editing, I have notes over here. It'll deal with exposure, contrast. They even have a new setup coming up that I'm excited to see, but I haven't played with. But they actually have an AI masking tool, which would be kind of dope, especially if you have photographers that struggle with getting even exposure. Maybe your backgrounds are blowing out, but the subjects are cool, so it might allow us to do some masking and corrections in that. But it's pretty dope. So Aftershoot is one of the cool softwares that we use for our editing and for culling. I want to show you guys how we use it to cull. I'm going to make a deal with you guys. You go onto our Facebook page, the School and Sports, cranking the volume to 11. I'm going to we have a sports job next week that we're doing. That's a media day. We're going to have releases on all those kids. And I'm going to dump another video to show you guys the editing process and make sure that you guys can actually see that live. But like I said, I don't think I have any releases on images that we can do today, but I will get you that video, I promise. And then dump it in the comments if you have any questions on Aftershoot, if you use it, if you use something else that you love, if there's anything in it that I skipped over that you wanted to see. It's a pretty awesome tool. And then I promised you guys a little teaser about some stuff we're doing for our schools. We have photographed graduations for years, and our process honestly is like surprisingly manual. And we have been able to get through it, but we are really looking at reinventing this process next year. But one of the things that we actually do is we still do per student galleries. And I haven't used Photo Day, which is like the notable exception with facial recognition. We still sell all of our grads on Got Photo. And I still believe, and I've seen the data on it that shows us that if we give a kid an individual gallery, we will sell an awful lot more images to families, because families don't want to have to go through 850 images to find their kid who graduated. So we photograph and sort all of our images and get them to individual password protected galleries, which is really cool. And it's good for the families. It's good for the kids, gives them privacy online, it reduces friction from the ordering session. And it allows us to give them a more streamlined way to keep their memories. But one of the things that we found out was we had one school that we photographed, and what we would do is we'd actually just go to the community access channels to like link up the kids and the names, and that's kind of how it worked. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's how we've done it for years. So last year we're doing it that way, but that's how we've done it. This year, one of the ways we wanted to make sure, we were trying to find this one broadcast. We couldn't find it. It took forever for it to actually get released. And then I remembered the DJI Osmo. I don't know if any of you guys have ever messed around with this little camera before. This is the DJI Osmo 2. This is it's a little 4K video gimbal. Okay. Now these are pretty cool. And I use a lot of these for my own personal projects. Like I've had one of these for years where I go on vacation, I can make little video clips. It's an awesome thing, fits in your pocket. It's amazing. Well, I started thinking, what's a way that we could use this for our schools? We ordered them, hooked it up straight up on our cameras, and we are recording video and audio live from the photographer's perspective. So we are getting the names of the kids as it's coming across. And so although we don't use these files often, it's kind of like a secondary backup card. It's our cover your ass and get your stuff out the door correctly add-on. So, all right, everybody, I hope you guys are staying busy and kicking butt. Hit me up in the comments if you guys have any questions, suggestions, things you need more of, and I will get you the video on how we use Aftershoot editing next week when we have images that we can share with you guys, because they're going to be dope. So make sure that I was going to say smash that subscribe button, but make sure you keep linked up on this, and we will get you those videos right away.